Are we live? We're live! Yes, we are. Good morning, everybody. Jess, would you like to snuggle in? Kay, you look like a little gnome in the background there. You're sort of leaning on
Does that look
the
better?
sofa. We're hoping this works for everybody. Michelle, you'll have to tell us what we look like.
I can see everybody.
Good. So, good morning, everybody. Okay, let me just first of all we'll say good morning to Gradle, who's here right by my shoulder. We have Jessica on the left here. Say hi, Jess.
Hi, buddy.
We have Anna on the right. Say good
Hi.
morning.
Good
and
morning.
we have Kay looking like a little gnome in the background. Kay is the mummy to these two girls. We're missing a girl, aren't we? We're missing Chloe, so we have to mention Chloe before we do anything else, and I know that she's with us in spirit. And of course, we're going to say good morning to our Michelle. Say good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
Now, at the risk of upsetting everything, we're going to try and adjust this thing because it's not quite right. And that made no difference whatsoever. So there we have it. All right, so this morning I have my friend Kay. Kay, how long have we been friends?
30 plus years.
35 years, I think. Yeah, 35 years. And Anna was born, and Chloe was born, and little Jessica was just a little twinkle.
Wasn't even a twinkle.
Not even a twinkle. But I'm going to tell this story because this is how long it is that we met, and so Kay came to visit one day, and as she's leaving, of course she's got these two little girls. I can't remember how old you were at the time, but you were only little.
7 maybe?
6 or 7.
Just close
Anyway, so as Kay is leaving, I looked at her and I said, "Are you pregnant?" And she's, "No way, don't say that."
Welcome to the world, Jess.
I could see this little, it was like a stardust, like a little star twinkling right in the centre of Kay's tummy. So I like to think I saw you first.
You did.
So we go back a long, long way, and they're here visiting from England. And that's all we have to say on that score, because I'm sure, do we have people joining us, Michelle?
We have about 16 people on right now.
Well, all of you who are watching, you better get cracking and get some questions asked, because we are only going to go for as long as the questions keep coming, because we've got things to do, places to go, and people to see. Shopping to see. What to see? The sun to see, the beach. They spent the whole day yesterday on the beach.
Amazing
These
beach.
two.
Amazing beach.
Well, there are all amazing beaches around where we are. We do live in a really great place. So, all right. So, over to Michelle. This is going to be a different kind of show today. Our guests on the sofa. Kay, even though you're at a little distance, you do look gorgeous sitting back there. And we still want you to participate.
I can't see it.
No! You look great.
Take our word for it.
You look great.
You do, Mummy.
So, all right.
Are you ready?
Yeah, we are so ready.
Okay, our very first question came in through email this morning.
Oh.
And it was asking about whether or not you do mentoring.
Yes, somebody sent an email saying, "Please, would you mentor me?" And I don't mentor individuals. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever mentored individuals, but I do, of course, have online classes. And so, if you want to know more about the online classes, or if you want to know more about our what are they called, those things that we're going to be doing?
Webinars.
Workshops, webinars, or whatever. Yes, webinars. If you want to know more about that, please, please, please don't hesitate. Email us, rosemary@rosemaryaLtea.com. I'm also going to say that Kay, I forgot to say that Kay is one of my oldest, not as in years, not in years, but in time. You're one of my oldest students, right? So Kay was with me as a student, and some of you out there might want to know, what was it like?
Yeah. Enlightening.
Enlightening
Yeah.
and horrible.
Tough. Sorry.
Yes.
You're okay.
Yeah, I was a scary teacher.
Yeah. What? No, I was gonna. She took the words out of my mouth.
Now you see, out of the mouths of babes, because last evening I was showing Chloe how to make risotto.
Yes.
Who did I say? Chloe. Oh, sorry, we're missing you, Chloe.
Yes, that's
Sorry.
it.
So yeah, I was showing Jessica how to make risotto, which takes a little bit of time. We had mushroom risotto. So Jess was in the kitchen with me for over an hour, weren't you, darling? And we were making this risotto, which then these two, who were just lounging outside and hanging out,
Wondering about, yes.
when are we going to be fed?
Yeah.
And I think we had a rum and coke with it, didn't we?
We did.
Which
That's
is
good.
I'm not recommending that. A nice glass of
I
wine
am.
with a good mushroom risotto.
Yeah, of course, yes. It was a bit sweet, you know, it wasn't ideally what you'd have, but I enjoyed it.
Good.
You said it first, I'm just,
Glad to hear
you
it.
know, white one would have.
All right, sorry, Michelle. We're
digress.
being so bad. It is live, but
Tangent.
they're on holiday,
We
so
are,
we have to have
lovely,
we
yeah.
have to have some fun. So, all right then,
We learned to go with the flow here
go.
very well.
So, if you want to ask a question of Kay, or in fact, what it's like, because these girls grew up with me being the kind of a surrogate mummy, the go-to. So,
Yes.
what does that mean? What did I do? Were they terrified of me? I'll answer that one now. You were, weren't you?
Absolutely.
Terrified of
Sometimes.
me.
But we kept coming back for
I-
more.
I do like to keep-
Terrified and addicted.
All right. Sorry.
Donald would like to know if
Who?
Donald
Good morning, Donald.
would like to know if they share your gifts.
You can answer. No, and no.
No.
No, they don't. But Kay, I have to say, trained with me as a healer and is a fantastic, beautiful healer. So, yes, you do have that, don't you? Okay. Hello? Do you want to say
Yes, I
anything
do.
about that?
Yes, I do. I agree. No, to be serious, I think I was involved at a very early age and really had no clue why I was there, what I was doing, and it was a long process to then suddenly understand. Actually, it wasn't suddenly, gradually understand what was going on over, and it did take years. And Rosemary was very patient. So was I.
We are going to, if you're interested, all of you out there, we are going to, on our Everything is Attitude show tomorrow. You really should join us, because we're going to be talking about friendship, because Kay and I's friendship spans 35, 36 almost years. And how on earth do you keep friends with someone, especially when it's teacher and student sometimes, and the student plays up and says, well, I'm not in class anymore. You can't tell me that now because I'm not in class, and all of those things. And how do you retain friendship? So that's going to be our topic tomorrow. But let's have another question, Michelle.
Sharon said she's had a lot of anxiety over
Morning,
her
Sharon.
family. She would like to know, does Grey Eagle or you have any advice from her late husband?
Not right now, I'm sorry, but we don't. I'm afraid, Sharon, we don't. Except, this one here, Jessica, is the people pleaser. And Kay was brought up in a household where you had to please, or you tried to please, didn't you, Kay? We're having a conversation about family the other day. Keeping the peace for the sake of peace, really, does it work? No, right? It doesn't. So I always tell my students short-term peace in any situation, whether it's family, friends or whatever, short-term peace, simply for the sake of keeping the peace, never works. It never works because it builds up frustration, it builds up anger, it builds up all kinds of things, and it builds up anxiety. So, and I'm not suggesting that you should tell people exactly what you think. Actually, I am suggesting that, but do it in a nice way, do it kindly, do it in a tolerant way. If you've got something to say, you say, I just want to say this to you, and I don't mean to take offence, and I don't mean to upset you. And of course, they're bound to take offence sometimes, and you're bound to upset them, but at least you're being honest and true to yourself with an intention of trying to set things straight rather than hurting somebody. And if people are reasonable, they will eventually get it, and they will respond kindly and likewise. And if they don't get it, there's nothing you can do, and they're never going to get it, and you're never going to find peace with them anyway. So then my suggestion is then stop trying. Let's have another question.
Albertine is on.
Good morning, Albertine.
And she says, what do you think about the Brexit?
We are non-political. We're not going there, Albertine. Not even a bit.
Sorry.
Next question.
Margareta is on.
Good morning, Margareta.
And she says, hi, Rosemary and friends.
Hi.
Can you explain how when one passes into the spirit world, they are solid? I've read that you see them and have felt them as such.
Oh, I see. Solid. You mean they're not wispy bits of energy floating around. They're not walking around wearing sheets and things like that. Well, we all know that the physical body this is an illusionary world. Our physical body is made up, what percent water? 90 some percent?
I think it's 70.
Is it 70 something?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, getting on for 80%
High.
liquid, and the rest of it is who knows what it is.
Yeah.
So we live in an illusionary world. Everything around us is, if the energy were to change, the world is made up of all the, things, the walls, the chairs, the furniture, made up of tiny, tiny, tiny little molecules, rectangular shaped molecules that all sort of, through energy and what have you, they lock together and form what we consider solid matter. That is a scientific fact. If the energy were to change anytime soon, that solid matter would dissipate. We see the ghost, I'm using the term ghost loosely, we see the ghost walking through the wall, and we automatically think that the ghost is this sort of ethereal wispy energy which somehow is seeping through a solid wall, but actually it is the wall that is this sort of non-substance, and the ghost is simply walking through it because the ghost or the person in the spirit world is solid and is of solid energy, solid matter formed from energy. So I don't know if that's confused you more, if it's helped you, but there we have it. Little science in the mix here this morning. Michelle, next question.
All right. Carrie said that there's a young boy around you.
Morning, Carrie. And okay, well, thank you for that. Girls, do you have a question that you'd like to pose, or would you like to make a comment? Because you've grown up with this because of your mom and because of me, and sort of being very, interactive with your family. You've grown up with it. So do you want to throw something out there? Go ahead, Jess.
I have a question from reading your books.
Okay.
I read that about a woman who was a twin, and her twin died.
Her brother.
Her brother, and she came to you.
I know exactly the story.
Yeah. And she found out that her twin had developed and grown in the spirit world
Alongside of her.
alongside of her. My question is that the case for all children when they pass?
Oh, what a good
Or
question.
is it their choice as to whether they carry on developing?
That's a good question, and it is their choice.
It is, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So not every child, not everyone who Pisces as a child of the spirit world wants to grow. It is their choice. So, but this man, he was a twin. He was attached to his sister, by energy and what have you. Plus, as she got older and she then became a mother, she had 2 daughters, and he became fascinated with the daughters and wanted to interact with the family. But that's a good question. Thank you. Do we have another question, Michelle?
We do.
Let's keep going then.
Okay, so Alina's on,
Alina, good morning.
and she says, any special messages for me from Grey Eagle and my Father up in heaven regarding Rohali, the person I love with all my heart?
So it's what?
Rohail? It's Rohail.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
She wants to know if Grey Eagle and her dad have any messages for her regarding this.
No.
Gentleman.
We don't, but I personally have a message for you. If you stop trying so hard to please other people, and if you stop trying so hard to be the person you think somebody else wants you to be, and just start being yourself, you'll find that happiness will find you. Because at the moment, all you're doing is trying to be what you think somebody else wants you to be. And that's when you're in relationships, you begin relationships and you start off by trying to please the other person. And, they say, do you want to go to the football match? And you say, oh, yes, yeah, I do want to go to the football match. And you hate football, but you're going because you want to please that person. Sooner or later, through the relationship, you're going to get bored with going to the football matches that you never liked in the first place. And then he's going to turn around and say, well, you're not who I thought you were. Well, of course you're not. Of course you're not, because you weren't yourself in the first place. So don't be anybody but who you are. And that makes for great relationships. Girls, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, as you said that, I agree with you. Don't be anyone other than who you are. But at the same time, it's nice to make an effort to an extent, of course. In the beginning, a lot of us will do that. But then just as it develops and as you develop and talk about it, and if you want to carry on going, then do it. And if you don't,
That you've got a good point, but what I'm saying, so I'll clarify. What I'm saying is that you shouldn't bend over backwards to do everything that other person wants.
No.
Because sooner or later you're going to get fed up with it, aren't you? And then
you'll forget who you are sometimes.
You do. You lose yourself, don't you?
Yeah,
It's true.
you can do. Yes.
You want to say anything, Jess, to that? Not right now.
Well, but only that it can come back and bite you in the ass if you carry on doing that. So.
Exactly. Couldn't put it better.
Nasty little ass biters.
I couldn't put it better myself. Michelle, keep going. Do you want to say anything about that, Michelle? She's keeping quiet here.
Be honest with your person up front.
Yeah.
It's not always easy
There
to
are
do
lots of things that my husband likes to do that I don't like to do. I will do them with him as a compromise because he's going to do stuff that he doesn't like to do with me.
Yeah.
But make sure that you tell them that that's not really your thing.
Yeah.
I'm doing it with you because I want to share it with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I hate football, but I'll come because I want to be with you and hang out.
Yeah.
And maybe we can go and do something afterwards that I like.
Yes, that's nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Compromise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sharon said, thank you. I'm a people pleaser too. I get it. But as a parent, sometimes we walk on eggshells around our grown kids.
And one at the back there. Yes, very much so.
Mum, are you pulling faces?
Me, absolutely not.
Rosa is on, and she says, hi, Rosemary.
Morning, Rosa.
I'm still sticking to the plan. You are the most amazing person I know. And do our spirits leave our bodies when we sleep?
I'd love to know what the plan is. So what is the plan?
She was the one you had a consult with.
Pardon?
She was the one you had a consult with.
Yeah, I realise that. I've forgotten what the plan is. Oh, I do, yes. Do what? Do what?
Do our spirits
Spirits
leave our bodies
leave
when we sleep?
Yes, they do. We can travel. And it's amazing because when we travel, we sort of, if you can imagine that there's someone who you love or who loves you in the spirit world. And often, you know, they'll travel to you and you'll travel to them, and you sort of meet in this space. And often in those moments, you wake up and you say, you know, I had a dream that I saw so and so, but it was so real. But it was only a dream, but it was so real. And when you find yourself saying, but it's so real, you know that actually that meeting did take place, and you did meet that person in the spirit world. Next question.
James has a question.
Good morning, James.
And he said, what is your take on a dream where you are hurt in it?
A dream where you're hurt in the dream.
Oh.
Well, I'm not an expert in dreams, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask. But there are many reasons why people have dreams where they're hurt, or they're anxious dreams, or they're scary dreams, or what have you. And a lot of that time is when you've got anxiety within you, and all of that anxiety comes out when you're asleep and you're dreaming, and the anxiety shows itself in the dreams that you have. But I am not a dream expert, so I'm that's as much as I can tell you. Let's have another question, and then Kay, I'm going to ask you if you have a question or a comment for people out there.
Carrie is on, and she said, my
Okay.
mother died 6 years ago, and the first Christmas without her, I had orbs all around me, and I could see life in more color. My question is, can my mother have influenced my spiritual growth?
Since she passed, do you think that is? Our mother's influences in so many different ways when they're here on this earth, and also when they're in the spirit world. You know, it depends on our relationship with our mother. I am going to, may I mention your situation, Kay, at the moment?
Yes.
So Kay's mother, just prior to Kay and the girls coming to America, Kay's mother took a turn for the worse. She's now in care. Is it end of life
Yes.
care?
Yes.
Strangely, while they've been away, because you thought she was going to pop a clock
Yes.
straight away, didn't you?
Yes.
And you've spent how many weeks?
She actually did, and then bounced back.
So she died, and then
She had a heart attack
She had 2 heart attacks.
in hospital, and then
Recovered.
a few
Right.
minutes later that night had
right.
another.
And then they said, you know, I'm sort of trying to abbreviate this, but they basically said, you know, she's going to go any minute now. And so you hung around, and your sister hung around, and so on. And then and there was a debate as to whether you were going to come at all.
Yeah.
But for whatever
Very
reason,
short.
a little debate, little tiny debate.
Maybe second of them.
And they decided that they would come, but actually a day or two before you came, she started eating, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
she's not going to bounce back completely, but she'll survive the 10 days that you're here, I'm sure,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
you'll have time to spend with her when you go
Yeah.
home, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult, because our mother's influences, sometimes in a negative way, sometimes in a positive way. But as we get older, we make our decisions for ourselves. And I always say to people, you know, take the good that you've learned from your parents and use it positively, and discard the stuff that you don't agree with or you don't accept. Just discard it, but take the good, because I think even the worst of parents can teach you something that you can use in a positive way. Okay, do you want to say anything to that?
I was actually thinking of something entirely different as you were leading me into that, and I'm going to stay with you, that's all right.
Go.
Having read the last book, Walk into Clouds, there was a chapter that was quite haunting, really, about a little girl in a wardrobe. Now, that led me to think about choices that you have. We talk about people having choices in the spirit, what they're going to do if they come to this earth plane, how they're going to be. And my thinking is, did that child know what what she was coming to, having had what she had, how was her healing afterwards, and where does she go from there, and how is her learning? It's a small question.
It's not, it's a
It's
huge
a
question.
huge question, but it's very,
It affected you, didn't it?
yes.
I think anybody reading it would have.
So, well, you know, those of you who've read my books, you know I try to tell the story honestly. The stories are not mine, but I'm allowed to tell them. People allow me to tell their personal stories. Addressing the question of, do we actually know before we come here? Because we all make decisions as to where we're going to go, and none of us, we may have had help to make the decision. We may have had, advisors to tell us what we needed and why we needed to be here and so on. But every one of us comes here by choice. I know it sounds weird, because you would wonder sometimes the situations that people are in, and the lives that they have to lead, and the terrible cruelty that is often abounding on this earth. You would wonder why any of us would come here by choice, but we do make that choice, and the choice is more about what we're going to learn, and it's more about what we need to grow and to learn spiritually. So some of us may need to learn through, we need to have a good dose of kindness and understanding, because perhaps we've never experienced it before. Some of us need to learn that, that we are stronger than we think we are, so we're put into environments which perhaps create situations for us where we learn and grow, and we become stronger for what we've learned. So there are many reasons why people come here, and of course, for all of us, when we leave this earth, no matter what we've been through, if we choose to go to the light, we are embraced by the light, and we are healed by the light, and we are, if we need it, we're given mentors, we're given people who can help us to understand some of the stuff that we actually did have to go through. Michelle.
Peggy asks,
Morning, Peggy.
when do you think the soul enters the body? I've read that the soul of a baby goes in and out of their body while you are pregnant. Do you think that that's true?
Well, I think that, the soul is sort of, it's a weird thing. What is the soul? What does it look like anyway? I feel it's sort of a bit like an alien thing, because I think it can move, it can change shape, it can be outside, it can be inside, it can be half in, half out. It's sort of because it's all about energy and movement and so on. But I think that prior to the baby's birth, I personally feel, and I'm not necessarily right on this, but I personally feel that in that moment of conception is when the soul enters that not even quite a fetus yet, but at the moment of conception, that moment when the sperm and the egg go ding like this, I think that is the moment when it is the beginning of the soul entering that child and getting to know the child and feel the child and really is the child. So I think it's in that moment that the soul, and I'm asking Gregor, and he has his hand on my shoulder, so I'm getting a bit of reassurance there. So I think that's probably in that moment. Is it able to move in and out? Our soul moves in and out all the time. We've already discovered that when we sleep, our soul can go traveling and off it goes here and there. So it's not an unusual thing to think that maybe it does. I've never experienced that or really discussed it with anybody before, but it's certainly a possibility. But even as the soul goes in and out, it remains attached. We talk about that silver thread, the silver cord, whatever it is, it remains attached to the physical, even in vitro. Let's have another question, shall we? We're getting some good questions this morning.
Twiggy's on,
Good morning, Twiggy.
and she says, can you communicate with people in the spirit world while astral traveling?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, often when you're astral traveling, you're not necessarily alone. You have other people with you. You might be going to meet somebody or connect with somebody. When I go astral traveling, Grail comes with me, so we have conversations. We usually go astral traveling to see a patient or to give healing to somebody. So, and the funny thing is that, and Kay, you'll know this, many times we've had patients at the healing centre who look at me and they say, I saw you sitting on my bed last night, or I saw you came to me in my dreams last night, and I just smile and say, yeah, that was me, giving a little healing where it is. And I think, Kay, you've done it too, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
So, another question?
Well, we have a comment.
Oh, go for it.
It says, hi, Rosemary. Craig Morris here in the UK. Can't believe it's been 4 months since we visited
I know.
you.
Do you know, I was thinking about you just the other day because I've forgotten the sauce I used for the ribs. It's like, I'm back to cooking again. How are you, darling? So, yeah,
He just said, hope you're well.
I am. And I understand the party was a great success. So that's good. So, next question.
Okay, Kitty is on.
Morning, Kitty.
And she says, good morning, Rosemary. When you have your guests in your home, do you read their auras to see if they are having a good time? These are all pretty ladies.
They are pretty ladies, aren't they? That was very nice, right?
Yeah, very nice.
thank
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to throw this question right into their laps now because I think it's only fair. So, first of all, you have to understand, although this is their first time in America,
It's not first time in Florida.
first time in Florida, sorry.
It's okay. It was a long time ago when we came before. See
Oh,
other
no.
people.
Oh, you were in Vermont.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 17 years ago they came to Vermont, and
Too fast.
now they're here again. So, but we've been in and out of each other's homes over the 35 years or something, on a fairly regular basis. So, do I read auras? Do I know what you're up to? Do I know if you're having a good time or not? What is it like being around me as guests in my home? They're not really guests, they're family, but anyway, we'll throw it out there. So, what's it like then, girls? And
Oh, like you said, it does. You yourself thought that it had been our first trip, and it is a long time since Jessica and I have been to the States before, so it is quite a long time.
So what's the question?
what is it
So,
like?
It
What is it like? Forget how long it's
I
been.
know, but it
What
needs-
is it like being here? Go on.
Because I've known you so long, I suppose it's a little bit of an adjustment because you go back a long way, and as you said, you're sort of like a surrogate something, motherish type. So
Motherish time.
maybe.
Motherish time. Jess, what are you got to say to that
So,
one? Then?
in answer to your question, I don't know if Rosemary is reading our auras.
Yeah.
But we don't sit down and talk spiritual
Stuff.
stuff. We are friends and family, and we talk about stuff that families talk about. It's very normal. We'll sit and chat about relationships and food and recipes and what it was like at the beach. And then out of nowhere we'll talk about something quite serious and
Yes,
important, and it flows naturally.
It does happen just naturally, yes.
We're all very
Flowing
different
and out of-
energies, and we'll spark off each other sometimes.
Deep conversations, and
we'll
then
go and have our space when we need it, and we'll come together when we need to.
and then we watched a good film
I
last
think
night that was good, and
Probably like any other family, really.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think?
I think that we all mesh together very well, considering we've got a water sign, an earth sign, and 2 fire signs. And because we all know each other, we're all very aware. We're all very aware. We're all very aware of our own output. Well, I maybe shouldn't talk for Jessica and Anna. I'm very aware.
Mum's aware,
Yeah.
being a trained healer,
Yeah.
she's
So I'm
Probably more
also
aware.
very, very aware of Rosemary's energy levels and what's happening. And I have to say, over the years, I've been more aware of the changes there, and changes around Rosemary, and how we respond to them is very important, as it is with everybody.
Learning process.
It's always a
is
learning
life.
process.
I have to say I have no clue what you said, but
Yeah.
let's see what they
Basically,
really mean, so.
basically, yes.
Did you? Did you understand?
Like
Like
any
any
relationship.
relationship.
Let me spell it out.
Yes, darling. Go ahead.
Basically, we don't have to read auras, even though we could
Yeah.
if we really put our minds to it.
To sense each
We're
other's
so
energy.
used to each other's
Yeah.
energies, we automatically slot in and around them.
Perfect. Now I understand exactly
Now
what
you
you're saying.
You see, perfectly. Good teacher.
Trying to get to the point. Anyway, good job. That was good. That last bit was really
glad,
that
thanks.
was good. Let's have
Thanks,
another
teacher.
question. You can see the dynamics here,
Yes.
can't you? That is going on. We do have a lot of fun, don't we?
We can, absolutely. Great fun.
We can.
get a bit
Play a zone. No, we do.
Next question. Poor Michelle. What are you thinking, Michelle, listening to all of this? It's a very different show.
Actually,
this
watching
one.
the video on this side as you guys are doing it is way more comical than the comments that are coming through.
All right
The
then.
facial expressions and how you see you guys feeding off of each other.
Okay, now
It's
we're going to really serious.
Now let's have another question.
okay. Marlene is on.
Good morning, Molly.
She says, "Can we reincarnate back into our same family if there's something we didn't get to finish on the first round, several generations later?"
I can't even answer that question because my take on reincarnation is very, very different than probably most other people's. I think there are people who want to come back to this earth, they choose to do so and they want to do it all over again, but there are other choices. And please don't get caught up in that, what I call the yo-yo syndrome. You know, you come to this earth, you die, you live your life, you die, off you go, then you come back down, and then you go back up, and then you come back down, and so on. And I know there are a lot of you who believe that. I'm not being disparaging in any way. Hold on to your beliefs if that is what you believe. I personally believe there are 1,000 more options than just going up and down like yo-yos, and there are 1,000 more options to, you know, what are we going to do, where we're going to go, and who we're going to be when we leave this earth. So that's all I'm saying about that. Next question, Michelle.
Molly is on.
Morning,
and she
Molly.
says, "My mom has passed. I was wondering if she is around me. I never felt like she loved me and wanted to know if she did."
That's a tough question, Molly. It's tough because I know exactly how you feel, because it's very hard living with a mother you don't have a connection with, or you feel prefers other people to you, and I know it because I've lived through it. I'm asking Gregor because I'm so tempted to answer this question without even thinking twice about it, and I'm not going to. I'm going to ask Gregor, who is saying to you, Molly, that, and you see me smiling, it's because yesterday Anna was in the water, in the sea, swimming, and she'd found a little crab who she named Molly.
Did Jess tell you that?
That was our sidekick.
Yeah, I know.
Jess told me that.
Oh.
Yes, Jess told me. And she named this little crab Molly because it was such a darling little crab. So when we get a Molly on, and after yesterday,
I did think of Molly the crab.
anyway, so Molly, all right, this is not your issue or your problem, my darling, and I feel so sad for you that you still, that you need to know this question. The issue is not that you were a problem. The issue is your mother, and it's with your mother and her problems and her inability. And I feel that from what Gregor tells me, I think that she did love you in her way, but her inability to share herself and her inability to share love or to speak of love, so sad for her. But try not to burden yourself with your mother's issues. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you whatsoever. It's about the other person. So don't think that you are less than. Do not for 1 second think that you are unlovable, which is very often what happens when our parents put these burdens upon us. So, I do feel that your mother, in her way, according to Gregor, did love you, but that should not be the issue. What I'd like you to do, Molly, if you can, is to learn to love yourself, because that's the most important thing. When you learn to love yourself, you can live your life to the fullest. That's what we'd like for you to do, right, girls? You know that, right? All right, let's have another question.
Sharon would like to know,
Morning, Sharon.
people who have a special skill in life, such as a composer, do they continue their music after their physical body dies?
That's a really good question. Yes, absolutely. Because it's innate within us. We're looking. I mean, we're here, and there is a most amazing and talented artist among us. Okay.
Hello.
You are, but it's in your soul, isn't it? Your art is in your soul. And whether you use a paintbrush or whether you simply use your imagination, or you let that, or your visualization, and you allow that to create within you, it's going to go on, isn't it? You're not going to lose it, are you? So that's a good question. Let's have another question.
Suzette is on.
Pardon?
Suzette.
Suzette, yeah. Good
And
morning.
she says, how is my best friend of 48 years doing? She's also my sister-in-law, and my brother is crushed by her passing.
This is a question for another time. But you know what we're going to do is, if you just send us her name, we'll send her healing and help her on her way. And also, we'll send healing to you too. Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. Just ask us to send her healing. I'm pretty sure she's okay, actually. Next question.
Audrey is on.
Good morning, Audrey.
And she said, I saw an older woman in my bedroom chair while I was dressing. I did not recognize her. What does that mean in the dream state?
It's likely that you had a visit from someone in the spirit world, and there are often people who in the spirit world who we don't even know or recognize. Perhaps they were a generation before us. They might be a grandmother we never met, or a great grandmother, or something like that we never met. Okay, I think through consults with me, I think we've talked to people who you never knew, but who are sort of family members that have watched you and watched over you, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's not unusual.
Dean has a question.
Good morning, Dean. Oh, you got the computer fixed. Good for you.
It's working for now.
Okay.
He said, can you bring a random person to you from the spirit world, such as a movie star, or can't you communicate to them if they don't, or can you communicate to them if they don't know you?
Yes. Now, this will blow your minds, and I know it makes me sound really, really crazy, but one of the most, I've spoken to many, many famous people in the spirit world from time to time, but I was in California, and I was in an office, in a meeting with some agents in a very top-notch talent agency. And we're all sitting there chatting, and they were at some point having conversations among themselves, and I got distracted, and I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and as I looked, and this is where you will think that I am crazy, because in the moment I thought, there's no way I'm telling anybody this. I saw Elvis Presley. I know, Elvis left the building, I know all about it, and all of these crazy people who have said over the years that they see Elvis, they talk to Elvis, all the rest of it. Quite frankly, I didn't want to see Elvis. I don't know Elvis. I mean, I've got nothing against the man, but there he was, and I thought, I'm not saying anything. I'm just not saying anything. And he said, yeah, you are. I want you to. And then Grey Eagle said to me, yes, you have to say something. And no, I am not going to be one of those crazy people who sees Elvis Presley. There's just no way it's going to happen. And anyway, between Elvis Presley and Grey Eagle, I got up the nerve actually to say to the guy whose office we were in. So I said something like, sort of warming my way in there. I said something like, so I understand you're a fan of Elvis Presley, and he sort of looked at me, and I don't know if it was a secret or not, but I didn't know him, so he looked at me a little bit strange. He said, well, yes. And I said, and so I also understand that last week you bought a very special Elvis Presley guitar, is that right? And he looked at me, and now he knew that I was really weird, and he said, well, actually I did, but how did you know that? Because it's not common knowledge. And I said, well, it's a very special guitar, and I started to describe it. When I say I started to describe it, I'm saying that Elvis Presley was describing it for me to repeat. And then I explained to him, well, Elvis is here, and he's asking me to say to you, he really, really hopes that you will have the best joy and pleasure out of that guitar, and he's very honoured that you bought it from him. And I felt, and the guy was white as a sheet, and then he was really excited, oh my God, because he was, it turns out, a huge fan of Elvis Presley, and yes, he had just bought this very, very fancy, and also, may I add, very expensive guitar just the week before. So, what was the question? Oh, do I see famous people? Only if they want to talk to me. I'm not about to, I don't think I could force anyone to talk to me anyway. But if somebody wanted to talk to me, and it doesn't matter whether they're famous or otherwise, in that office on that particular day, Elvis Presley was just another man, and he was just another musician. He wasn't really, Elvis Presley like we know him as this super duper thing. He was just standing in the office having a conversation with us, which I'm sure many famous people do, because even famous people are ordinary people very often. So let's have another question.
Starshine says, good morning.
Good morning, Starshine.
She says, Rosemary, will you be having another contest like the 3 chairs again?
We are having a contest.
We're having it right now.
Yes, right this second we're having a contest, and it is about superstitions. So I've asked people to write any superstition that you've ever heard of. We are getting some odd ones, I have to say, some I've never heard. You have until the 24th of October to send in those competitions, those superstitions, sorry. They can be superstitions or old wives' tales or whatever it is you like, and all you have to do is to send them to Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. Please put in the subject line contest or competition or whatever it is, and the prize is to be chosen by me. Yes, I'm afraid it's just me. I'm going to choose 3 of either the quirkiest, the funniest, or the most unusual. We don't know yet, and there are going to be 3 winners who will win the prize of my new book, A Walk in the Clouds, and also the CD of The Eagle and the Rose, told in my dulcet tones. So what sort of an amazing prize is that for you? But we're going to have fun, and we're sort of using it sort of as a Halloween thing, really, aren't we, Michelle? Because we're talking about, for instance, on New Year's Eve, my mother always forced somebody out of the house to come back into the house with a lump of coal and a piece of bread. This superstition being that if you brought coal into, the first person who brought coal and bread into the house was good luck, because that meant you were going to be kept warm and fed through the next year. But there are some very odd superstitions going about. If you have an odd superstition and you know the origin of it, I'd love to hear the origin of it as well. But yes, if you want to enter, you do have to be, in order to enter, you do have to unfortunately be in the States, because we've tried before to send out prizes to different countries with different competitions, and unfortunately the Inland Revenue get involved, and it ends up being costly. So and you also have to subscribe. Also, while I'm on about the subscriptions, please, if you want to be on the mailing list, we do not, if you email us, automatically put you on our emailing list, because we don't think it's fair. You don't want to be inundated with our emails continually. However, if you write to us and say, please put me on the mailing list, the amount of emails you're going to get in a month, you said, Michelle, the other
Maybe
day?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 a month. So we're not going to inundate you, but you will know first and foremost, before everybody else, what's going on. We're also, of course, I know that some of you are aware, but some of you may not be aware of the new show. I'm not sure it's even a show on Facebook. Once a week, I am giving healing sessions. Those healing sessions will include everybody who's on my healing list, and you can join in. You can help me with the healing. You can send energy as well. You can work with me as I do the healing session and show you how to give healing not only to yourself, but how to send healing out to other people. So that is, and if you're on my mailing list, of course, you're going to get notified straight away when they are. They're usually on a Wednesday. We've only done 2. We did one this last Wednesday. You can find it on Facebook, and you can find it on YouTube as well. It was just uploaded or downloaded or whatever that is to YouTube, so you can find it there as well on my YouTube channel, which is the same as you're on now. And next week it's probably going to be on a Tuesday, because these guys leave on Wednesday. It might be on a Tuesday, or it might be on a Thursday. We have to wait and see what we can figure out, because Tuesday's also their last day. It suddenly occurs to me. So email me if you want to know anything about anything. If you want to join in the competition, you do have to subscribe. And if you don't want to join in the competition, subscribe anyway, because the more subscribers we have, the more things that we can do on YouTube. So keep subscribing, and let us know if you want to be on the email list. Again, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. Next question.
Oh, right. Suzette says, my husband comes to me in my dreams often, and it's very comforting most of the time. But there have been times when he wasn't kind as he was here on earth. What does that mean?
I think it's more of your anxiety showing through. If your husband was a kind man, there's no reason on this earth or any other plane why he shouldn't still be kind, Suzette. So I think it's maybe your anxieties that are showing through. Let's go to the girls for a minute, because we sort of, the clock is ticking. Is there anything that any of you would like to say to anybody out there? Because you've heard some of the questions about, does my husband, is he still with me, or what do you think about are our bodies solid when we leave this earth, and so on and so forth. There are all sorts of questions. You've sort of grown up with it, really, the 2 younger ones, and Kay, really you too, because you were only a young woman when you came to see me, weren't you?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've been steeped in this for a long time. Is there anything that you might like to say to somebody, sort of in the way of a little bit of comfort, or a little bit of insight that you've had, or is there another question that you might have?
Well, regarding the comfort, I think talking about loving yourself is the main thing that comes to mind. Sometimes we can all get too busy doing things and thinking of others, or forget to be gentle with ourselves, and it might sometimes seem harder than it can seem hard, just to give yourself a few minutes a day to meditate. I don't do enough, but Mum tells me to, and she's right.
That's really good advice, Anna. Thank you. Thank you for that. Jess?
I need to take it as well.
Well, we all do that.
Yeah.
With regards comfort, personally, I pray any time of day. If I'm worried about something, if just speaking and asking for love, light and protection from God and Gregor, and it gives me a lot of comfort.
That's good. And you don't have to get down on your knees to do it, do you?
No,
Or to
I
be
do
in a
it-
church or anywhere like that, you do it.
I do
Do it
it.
standing on a mountain.
I do it
can't you?
driving to
Yes.
work. I ask
Yeah.
for the strength to look after the children that I work with.
Yes.
I do it
but
driving in the car, walking.
Jess is a nurse and you work with little ones, don't you?
So yeah.
And what do you do, Anna?
It's been quite varied.
But you've worked with old people, haven't you?
Yes,
In the
I'm
care,
working.
in
I'm working
care
as
of
carer-
the elderly. So
people with dementia.
both have healing hands, right? Kate, do you have anything that you'd like to say to anybody out there listening?
Have faith in yourself and your own abilities,
Yeah.
and it's God given, and just keep focused. Keep a good, strong faith in yourself and what you can do, not what you can't do. Don't take too much notice of the naysayers, and have faith that God will direct you on what you need to be and do.
If I can add to that,
It's a bit of a general blanket.
Add to that.
just
Anna.
know what Mum said. Focus is something that
Yes.
some of us can find. Not yourself, Mum, but
Oh, definitely,
myself.
I can.
Okay, sometimes. But focusing on that as well is
Focusing
important.
on the positive
Yes,
rather than the negative,
and-
right?
Yes.
and on doing what you want to do, which if it's a positive thing.
Any more questions? Any more comments?
We have Molly had a question.
Yeah.
And she said that she's been having dreams about a house being built in her packing. What does that mean?
I've no idea. I just already said earlier on, I'm not a dream expert. So, any other questions or comments?
Mary said, I'm
Morning,
allowed
Mary.
my kids to miss school yesterday so we could finally swim in the ocean.
Good
I
job.
feel a tad bit guilty for the kids missing
Don't.
school.
Don't.
And she would like to know, should we be concerned about global warming? Global warming.
Global warming.
Yeah, I don't know why that came out that
Well,
way.
well, it is horrible warming, isn't it? Global warming. Of course, we should be concerned.
Yeah.
Every one of us should be concerned. Unfortunately, we get involved in our own families. We get involved in the things that we do. We get involved in what's in front of us sometimes. But yes, we should all be aware and concerned and do our best.
Yeah.
But I don't want to end on a negative note here. But we went to the jetties the other night to watch the sunset, and there was a man there, and he let out three balloons, and they were obviously because of the size, the shape of them, and so on. They were obviously very meaningful to him. And a woman started screaming at him in the car park about saving the planet, and you're killing people and you're killing animals in the water, and she was on a rant, an absolute rant, without even knowing or bothering to think about maybe the reason for this. And this man tried to say something, and she wouldn't let him get a word in edgeways. And then he got angry, and he said, "I put those balloons out in memory of, I think it was his friend who had just died. And for your information, they are biodegradable. They're not going to hurt anyone." And so they were obviously some sort of paper balloons or what have you. And I just felt, I do understand why people can get upset. There's plastic straws and plastic this and plastic that. I do understand it. But if you're wanting to attack someone, first of all, step back, let go your own anger, think about the person, give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And instead of attacking, if she would have been much better if she'd have gone up to him and said, "Can I ask why you let off those balloons?" in a perfectly reasonable voice. He would have told her, and then she could have said, "But are you aware that they're dangerous for the environment?" And he would have said that they're biodegradable, and there would have been no need for the screaming and the shouting and all the rest of it. So please, if you, whatever it is that you have a beef about, if you want to say something in a good way, in a respectful way, and in a nice way, and give people the benefit of the doubt and give them the chance to explain, why you feel the way you do, and you know, no more of this screaming. I think we should be much more aware of how we treat each other than
Yeah.
ever we should be aware of global warming, because what's going to happen in that respect will happen despite what we can do. We can do our very best to try and help the planet, but there's a certain point we can only do so much. But you know, the neighbour walking down the street, or the person you meet in the supermarket, a smile, tolerance, kindness and understanding is what we're all about. And I do think, don't you think?
Yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
we blocked your mother out.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
That's what we believe in, don't we?
Yes, you're right.
So
Yeah.
on that note, anything else? Yes, Michelle.
One
Michelle's
final
got one
question.
final question. Let's go.
Because
for it.
this is something that we are working towards.
Yes.
Twiggy wants to know when our books are going to be available on Audible.
Some of them already are. Actually, I'm not sure where you find them.
Audible is normally the Amazon Prime.
Some of the books are on Audible. You know what? We'll delve into that. That's a Michelle job. And
I've already been researching.
well, there are at least 3 out there. The Eagle and the Rose is on Audible, or should be on Audible anyway. If you want a CD of it, just email us and let us know, and we'll tell you, you know, how you can get one of those, and we'll figure it out. Anything else?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. So this is what's going to happen now. We're going to say goodbye to you all, because we've got things to do, places to go, people
Yeah.
to see.
Sun to see. There isn't much in England, I don't think, at the moment.
We will be having class this evening, yes. Even though I've got guests in my home, I'm still doing the online classes, so I'm expecting you all to be, you know, right there with me at 9 o'clock tonight. And we will be doing Everything is Attitude with Al tomorrow. It will be 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about friends, friendship, and how can you keep them, and what do you do if you've lost a friend and you want them back and you don't know what to do about it. We're going to be talking about all of that stuff tomorrow at 4 p.m. and we shall be back next week, of course, with this show, and we shall let you know when our healing session will be next week. Also, so keep posted on Facebook. Again, if you do want to keep up with us, please write to us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, and ask to be put on the mailing list, and it shall be done, and that will be that. So until I see you again, please have a very, very blessed rest of the day, as we shall, because we know we shall. I can't remember what I had for dinner tonight, but something good. We had burgers.
Yeah.
Homemade
Homemade.
burgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And we'll be doing all sorts of things in between, won't
Yes.
we? And then, so until I see you again, sorry, lost the plot then. Until I see you again, please, all of you have a very blessed rest of the day, and don't forget, have a very blessed weekend. And say bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
I don't know how to switch us off. Where am I switching us
Don't
off?
ask me, I'm really rubbish at
I've got no clue.
this. Just turn it around. We could just turn it around. We could just show it to you.
Oh, wait a minute. It's these things in the way. There we are. And that's it.
Woo!
No, you just turn the camera around.
Oh, did. Well,
Do
is
you
it
wanna
which
press the
side?
cross up
There.
there?
Oh, thank
Press
you.
the X.
There we are.
And